A Koch executive's harassment in China adds to fears among visitors. The New York Times. Amid worsening trade tensions, an American businessman was barred for days from leaving, in an apparent message to President Trump. Others worry they may buy end. A Koch Industries executive was told he could not leave China. An ex-diplomat, business executives, Washington officials, and other frequent visitors to China who were interviewed by the New York Times expressed increasing alarm about the Chinese authorities' harassment of Americans by holding them for questioning and preventing them from leaving the country. They worry that trade tensions between Washington and Beijing could turn business people and former officials into potential targets. Some companies, in a very not-so-subtle manner, the Chinese government has upped the ante by detaining Americans at the borders and at their hotels, and with the obvious intent to send a message to the Trump administration that they can engage in hostage diplomacy if push comes to shove, said James Zimmerman, a partner in the Beijing office of the law firm Perkins Coie, which works with American companies in China. If they go in that direction, this would not be received well by the American business community, which puts at risk billions of dollars of investment in China, he said. The problems escalated after Canadian officials arrested an executive of Huawei, the Chinese technology giant, at the behest of American officials. China then. The fear spreading through the American business community highlights ties between the world's two largest economies have become. Though President Trump, Chinese officials see the American trade stance as a threat to their country's economic future. By imposing tariffs, the extent of the harassment is unknown, but several recent episodes are likely to add to the concerns. Companies that many American business figures still come and go without major incident. Elon Musk, still, a number of recent run-ins with the authorities have prompted broader worries. In late June, foreign staff in particular have reported a high level of anxiety about the current environment, it said in the message, which was reviewed by the Times. It said it was those plans included a procedure if its servers were seized. It also said, Washington officials travelers that the Chinese authorities have blocked a number of Americans from leaving China, a practice known as exit bans. Many of those in some cases, the Chinese authorities use such bans to exert pressure on Americans who are members of the families of local officials, a former executive at state-owned bank accused of fraud. Huang Wan. In early June, a Chinese-American executive at Koch Industries, the conglomerate owned by the conservative billionaire brothers David and Charles Koch, was told he could not leave the immediate vicinity of his hotel in southern China, according to 3 people with knowledge of the matter. He was then interrogated. While the authorities told the man that he would not be allowed to leave China, they did not take his passport. After the State Department given some of the discussion, 2 of the people with knowledge of the episode involving the Koch Industries executive said they believed it was an attempt to send a message to Mr. Trump. The Kochs have traditionally been major financial backers of Republicans, including Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State and a former Republican congressman from Kansas. Koch Industries, but the Kochs, whose views then populist, have also criticized Mr. Trump's trade and immigration policies, prompting the president on Twitter. In late June, the authorities tried to interrogate a former Beijing-based American diplomat, according to 3 people with knowledge of the incident. The former diplomat, 2 plainclothes officers asked him to go with them to answer questions. They asked him about the former diplomat called American embassy officials. After a few other run-ins create an atmosphere of intimidation. Early this year, while the executive was traveling between meetings, a black car appeared to be following, often taking no precautions to disguise its presence. When the executive, as the trade war has intensified, China has tried to use American businesses to send a message to the Trump administration. It summoned America. Overall, that has led to growing nervousness among business people. A lot of Western businesses are not willing to speak up loudly because they think things could get worse, said Peter Humphrey, a British private investigator who was imprisoned in China in 2013. Now living in Britain, I believe we are seeing the worst environment since the Cultural Revolution, he added, in terms of the extent to which people are under surveillance and control, and the extent to which people are punished. Contributed reporting from New York.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.